I still remember the way his voice cracked the night everything changed. The storm outside the hotel window was nothing compared to the one in his eyes. Prince had been angry, furious even, but when silence finally swallowed us, something else began to speak between us. I didn't know that the man I had met only hours earlier would make my heart tremble like that. His anger wasn't hatred. It was hurt, disguised as fire. And somewhere in the middle of that storm, I heard it. The quietest whisper against my skin. A moment that shouldn't have happened, but did. And I still feel it. The hotel receptionist said it too casually. Only one room left. I thought she was joking. Prince didn't. He was already tired, rubbing the bridge of his nose after a flight delay and 12 hours of business meetings. I just met him at the airport. A last-minute seat change put us side by side, and somehow, fate decided that wasn't close enough. Fine, he muttered, signing the register. His voice had the kind of confidence that made people move faster around him. I followed him to the elevator, trying not to look as nervous as I felt. The room smelled like rain and hotel soap. One king-size bed. Prince's jaw tightened. "You can take the couch," he said, even though the couch was barely wide enough for a single shoulder. "It's okay," I offered. "I'll sleep on the floor." His eyes finally met mine, dark, steady, unreadable. "You're not sleeping on the floor," he said, voice low but clipped. He turned away before I could reply. Something about his tone made my chest tighten. Not anger, but something heavier beneath it. I sat on the edge of the bed, listening to the rain tap the glass. For an hour, silence filled the room. He stood by the window, suit jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, watching the city glow under the storm. Every few minutes, lightning caught his reflection. Sharp cheekbones, tired eyes, and a kind of restless energy I couldn't name. When he finally spoke, it wasn't to me. "I hate losing control," he murmured, almost to the window. I hesitated before answering. Maybe control isn't everything. That made him turn, slow, deliberate, curious. "What are you, a philosopher or something?" "Just someone who's bad at sleeping," I said softly. He laughed then, short and real. It surprised both of us. The tension broke, just a little. He sat down on the other side of the bed, the mattress dipping under his weight. The sound of rain filled the space between us. "You're different," he said quietly. "Different how?" He thought for a moment. "You don't try too hard to fix things. You just listen." Something warm spread in my chest at that. No one had ever said that to me before. The way he looked at me then, tired, human, almost soft, made the air feel heavier. I turned toward him without meaning to. "You don't look like someone who gets angry easily," I said. He smiled faintly. "I don't. But when I do, it's usually because I care too much." That stayed in the air between us. His hand brushed against mine, maybe by accident, maybe not, and neither of us moved away. The room was dim, only the city lights painting faint gold lines across his face. We didn't speak for a while. The silence wasn't awkward anymore. It was full, like both of us knew something had shifted, but neither dared to name it. When I finally lay down, he turned off the lamp. Darkness wrapped around us, soft and deep. Somewhere in that darkness, his voice found me again, quieter now. "Sorry about earlier. I don't like how I sound when I'm angry." "It's okay," I whispered. Sometimes anger is just fear wearing armor. He didn't reply, but I heard him exhale, slow and shaky, like someone letting go of something heavy. And then, barely I felt it, the brush of his breath near my shoulder. Not a touch, not a word, just a whisper that said everything he couldn't. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The rain softened outside, but the quiet in the room grew louder, the kind that presses against your chest until you have to breathe just to remind yourself you're still here. I could sense him beside me, awake, turning something over in his head. Then he said it, barely above a murmur. "You ever feel like you're one bad decision away from becoming someone you don't recognize?" The question startled me, not for what it was, but for how small his voice sounded when he asked it. I rolled onto my side. "All the time," I said. "I think everyone does. The difference is whether we stop ourselves or let it happen." He stared at the ceiling. My father never stopped himself. When he got angry, people left. I promised I'd never be like that. He paused, eyes flicking toward me. Tonight, I almost was. I wanted to tell him he hadn't scared me, but that would have been too easy, too neat. You're allowed to break sometimes, I whispered. It's what you do after that matters. Prince exhaled through a shaky laugh. You talk like someone who's been through hell. Maybe I have, I said, smiling faintly. Maybe that's why I recognize it when I see it. He turned to face me fully now, his features softened by the dim city light. There was no fire left in his eyes, only exhaustion and something gentler, like regret wrapped in relief. You should hate me for snapping earlier, he said. I don't hate easily, I answered. I just try to understand. His throat bobbed, like he was swallowing words he'd never said aloud. The distance between us had shrunk without either of us noticing. He reached for the glass of water on the nightstand, hand brushing mine again, the smallest spark in the quiet. I don't usually let people see this side of me, he admitted, the losing control part. Then maybe that's why you're so tired, I said. You've been holding yourself together too long. He looked at me for a moment that felt like a lifetime. The rain had stopped. The city hummed below us. And for the first time that night, he smiled, soft, honest, unguarded. We talked for hours after that, about nothing and everything. He told me about the company he was trying to build, the weight of responsibility that made him forget he was human. I told him about the way loneliness can sneak into even the busiest days. Somewhere between confession and silence, we began to understand each other, not through words, but through the way our eyes stopped searching for exits. When his shoulder brushed mine again, it didn't feel accidental. It felt like peace, the kind that doesn't ask for permission, just presence. Do you think two people can meet by accident but still mean something? He asked quietly. I think every connection means something, I said. Some are just harder to explain. He nodded, as if that answer gave him permission to breathe again. The clock struck 2. We were both too tired to keep talking, but neither wanted to end the night. He shifted slightly closer, the warmth of him tracing the outline of my calm. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For staying. Simple words, but they landed deep, like truth finally finding its home. When dawn began to climb over the skyline, I realized I hadn't slept at all. Prince was still awake, watching the light paint gold over the room. I used to think anger was strength, he said softly, but last night proved me wrong. It's not weakness either, I replied. It's just unspoken pain. He nodded. You make it sound simple. Only because I've complicated it before. We shared a small, tired laugh, the kind that closes one chapter and quietly opens another. The city came alive below us, but our world stayed still for one last moment. When we finally left the hotel, we didn't promise forever. We didn't need to. There was something sacred in what we'd shared, not passion, but understanding. As we parted in the lobby, he caught my wrist gently. If I ever lose control again, he said, remind me of tonight. I smiled. You won't need me for that. You already learned how to listen. He hesitated, then nodded, a small, grateful curve of his lips. And just before he walked away, the morning light caught his face, calm, peaceful, and human again.